Hey there, my name's Chad Massaker, and I'm a commercial real estate agent and a business broker here in Palm Beach County. And I just wanted to share with you some of the notes and pictures and video I took from the Broadway corridor redevelopment meeting that we had last September 23rd, which I believe was last Thursday. I realize there's a lot of you, especially in the Northwood community, who probably were not able to attend that meeting, and you'd like to know kind of what went on. So I took a bunch of photos and a bunch of video, and then it occurred to me later that I should, post it all up. And instead of just posting each, individual picture and video into the group, like a Facebook group, I figured I'd just put together a quick presentation to kind of tie it all together and make it a little easier. So, when they started the presentation, they basically gave us the scope of work, which basically the Broadway corridor redevelopment project is going to span from 24th to 59th Street, to the bridge, basically. They also gave us a timeline. As you can see here, we've already done phase one. The visioning component was what we were doing essentially at the meeting on the 23rd, which is phase two. Hopefully they'll have zoning codes drafted for approval by end of February, and then spring or summer they'll be finalized, and hopefully we can start getting developers in to start doing stuff. The developer that was there, and it's a three-letter acronym, I apologize for not remembering the name of the group, but this is the project that they did in Dorn Avenue. This is before in the 1990s, and then this is what they did now. And then this shows a picture of what they envisioned for Broadway, what they envisioned Broadway looking like in the future. So I just thought I'd add those in there. So the first thing that actually happens when you go to this meeting before the session even started is we did some dot voting, where we got to vote on what kind of styles we liked for commercial buildings and signage, residential buildings, and streets. So I'm just going to go through those quick. Green is good, red is obviously bad. So here's the commercial one. As you can see, people are not fans of like kind of garish signing like the McDonald's here, or the CVS, right? They're looking for more, they're looking for, it looks like, good architecture, right? You see that a lot here and here. The next one was signage. Obviously, everybody hates monument signs. I'm not, obviously this looks junky signage wise, but also I interpreted like all these power lines I would hate too, right? Nothing here that's surprising to me anyway. Streets. The only one that caught me a little off guard here was this one, because I wasn't really sure what was wrong with it, other than maybe it was too many lanes, and there was definitely talk of people wanting to shrink Broadway down to maybe 2 lanes, for example. But those are, look and feel of the streets. Obviously, streetcars look great. Any kind of vegetation along the strip looks great. Outdoor cafes, everybody's kind of, feeling that vibe. Residential, again, I think if you look back at the commercial stuff, it's the same thing here. We're looking for better, nicer, more unique architecture that doesn't look simple. So, this one on the bottom left here is just, pretty much a box with windows, right? Not a lot of character. And you can see that as you progress to the right, how the voting changes on this bottom row in terms of what people's expectations are. In terms of the look and the feel, everybody hates duplexes, as you can see in the middle right one. So, yeah. So then there was, remember this happened before the meeting started. And then there were a couple of PowerPoint slides, which I already showed you in the beginning. And then there was some real-time polling using our phones. There were two types of polls. There were word cloud polls, and then there were like statistical graphing polls, right? So I'll do the word cloud ones first. And the first one is, what's the first word that comes to mind when you think about Broadway now? Again, I don't think there was anything in here that was surprising. Drugs, prostitution, crime. I think those were and dangerous, the big four there. Again, nothing too surprising here. And then when people were asked, what they think about what they think of the Broadway project in the future, this was the word cloud that popped up. And I really like the fact that potential was by far the largest of the words here. But there definitely seems to be a lot of hope around this project, which is inspiring. Then, of course, there were graphing polls, so there was this, kind of just trying to understand the room, right? And the first question was, how long have you worked here in West Palm Beach? Lived or worked, sorry, and a good over 50%, almost 60%, 62% have been here for 10 or less years, and then the remaining, I guess that would be like what, 38% or 11 or more. Also, they asked what your primary interest is in this area. It looks like most people live and work in the area. There are a few property owners, which I interpreting this question as investment property owners. I myself answered all of the above. Then there was, where should we concentrate our efforts in terms of economic growth on Broadway? I thought this question could have been asked a bit better. Personally, I answered C. I think C, along with better housing in the area in general, those two things in concert are what is needed. Not that all of these are not important. It's just nothing really happens without the other two. You need, income flowing into the area, right? And then the last one is, what are the three goals that we should prioritize first along the Broadway corridor? And people actually got to answer, with multiple letters here. As you can see, again, creating a nice walkable, or corridor that feels safe is by far the biggest priority. Certainly improving the architectural quality of the buildings along Broadway. A lot of them are very old. More green space and potentially water access. Those were the top ones. And obviously, more housing options is always going to be a thing. And then last but not least, we did these table exercises where we're sitting down with a group of, I think our group was maybe 5 people, and they sit you down in front of these, you have these 2 giant maps on your table, and basically you get to become a planner. And I don't know if you'll be able to zoom in on the video here, but you can see handwriting and scribbling on these maps. We got to write down what we want where along the corridor. For me personally, it was 4 basic simple things. I needed a grocery store, Starbucks, a dry cleaners, and a car wash, within half a mile of the house. All of that would be ideal. The grocery store thing by far was the number one requested thing of everybody that I talked to while I was there. So I'm going to end the part where I talk here, and I'm going to break into the videos that I recorded of the people, where they go through each table, had to get up and explain their map that they created and what they wanted where. And I thought there were some very interesting responses. So the first one you're about to see is my table. She's going to talk about everything that we wanted. The second one, pay attention to, because she's actually a property owner along Broadway. She has multiple investment properties on Broadway. She had a lot to say about in terms of getting some community reinvestment to help her, keep her buildings upgraded or in compliance and look and feel with the future development that's coming. I thought that was her comments were very interesting, but there are also other interesting recordings even past her. So watch the whole thing, and thanks for listening. And I'll talk to you later.
So we wanted to keep it a lot of small businesses, maybe some artsy things, but it's a big space, so we can do a lot with it. Some essential items like grocery stores and dry cleaners and gas stations and maybe a Starbucks.
Not maybe, definitely.
Definitely a Starbucks. We also want to see a lot of restaurants, outdoor dining, and some shopping, like boutique shopping. It'd be nice to get some medical spaces here so we can go to the doctors local in our area. It'd be great to have some nice, all the areas cleaned up, obviously. And we also need places to go and socialize and hang out. So we were saying like maybe an iPad movie theater or a nice hotel like an Autograph Collection, Marriott, Coconut Grove vibes. So like South Miami, Coconut Grove, historic, classy, clean. Maybe a Whole Foods.
Workforce housing.
Restaurants, even cafeterias. Like we have really cute hotels, like oh shoot, I forget the one, but it's cute, but it's definitely not cute right now. But keep the cute traditional like 60s architecture, but clean it up and make it really nice and boutique, high end, or medium end too. Probably both.
Workforce housing.
A lot of biking around.
Lots of people want biking, have it bikeable, walkable.
Workforce housing.
Workforce housing with mixed use on the grounds.
Perfect, just like that. Give a round of applause for Table A.
Purchased some properties here many moons ago. So all these ideas are wonderful. And it's just, us, it's something that we want our kids to inherit, but people like us, or like my friend or neighbor who owns a property, like we would need grants for all these things to come to fruition, because all those empty CRA lots that are gonna get these ideas are great, but if you have these beautiful buildings and then the people who are not corporations and who are just single owners don't have the resources to make these places better, then you're kind of dead in the sand, because then you got something beautiful over here, but something not so pretty over here. And, to bring more people to the area, to make it more beautiful, you need more people, more of that lifestyle being outside. If we raise the code so that these could be like 8 stories high instead of 1 story high, because then that would, develop more the area, and storefronts on the first floor. Because right now, the way most of these are set up, the parking is all on the front. You can't fix the front without tearing the whole thing down. You can't tear the whole thing down without any funding. But I know people like us and other people I know, if there was programs where you could help us, then we could help get that affordable housing that everybody asks for with the grants. Okay, thank you.
The idea of Broadway being retrofitted into a multi-way boulevard, and the concept of housing for all, so housing opportunities. We talked about everything from the design perspective about heights along the corridor and how we think heights should transition down into neighborhoods, and there should be lessons learned standards for that. Repaving roads, repairing streetlights, installing security cameras, reconnecting streets, demolish all old buildings that should be preserved, create wider sidewalks, create neighborhood parks within a 5-minute walk from every residence. Traffic calming along Broadway, high contextual to existing neighborhood fabric, creating complete streets, attracting a grocery store, affordable workforce housing, public road improvements, that was a big one, landscape maintenance, streetlights, sidewalks, creating long-lasting affordable housing that's not bought up, and then to avoid gentrification, creating work centers, improving the workforce talent, jobs for youth, a multi-way boulevard on Broadway, public art paid for by developers, and more public access to the waterfront that's public, and walkable retail and restaurants for the existing neighborhood and for future residents, and transforming existing industrial uses into mixed-use opportunities, and finally increasing the frequency and headway of public use.
But I want to tie it into the creative part, is if we want this area to be creative and you want to bring artists to it, the artists need a place to live. They also need affordable studio space. So we think that that's a big key to this corridor, is getting artists places. Yeah, all right, artists places to live, work, and then play. We had a great idea about some green space along the railroad tracks with a bike path, so that's where you can put some of that mobility. Nobody wants to live along the railroad tracks. They're very loud, and that's a perfect place to put a bike path. We talked about bringing more people to the area. Means that you need to make sure your schools can handle all of these people, and we need to have some things for our kids to do, and so that they're doing productive activities. We talked about a train or some sort of trolley that can get people down the corridor, but also parking, because a lot of places are pretty cool in the city, but I hesitate to go, for example, not to call it Grandview, but like, where am I gonna park? It's a cool place, but like, parking keeps me away sometimes. So we talked about we need to have these little parking lots or places where people can park so they can actually frequent all of these restaurants and everything that we want to have happen. And of course, grocery stores. And if we are going to bring hotels in, because obviously this area is going to be so cool that people want to come, we want them to be like boutique hotels, really nice, special, small, quaint ones to keep that feel. So those were our suggestions.
Lighting, trees. We also wanted more small businesses. And we also wanted to make sure there's no parking. If we have businesses, make sure we have no parking areas without having to pay for them. Also wanted, what else we got here? Oh, the housing, if you go mixed use housing in that area, and just the height of the house no higher than 4 stories. Okay. And what the values we have.
I live on 59th Street. So table 4, we had a few big ideas, actually a lot of big ideas, but the number 1 was safety. I think everyone here can agree with that. Lighting, policing, and cameras. The second thing was transportation. So we didn't get specific in where we wanted these things, we wanted them for everyone. Transportation, we thought maybe a 2-lane Broadway, kind of like Clematis. Bike paths, more crosswalks that are safe, and I don't know who said the electric trolley, but yes, I agree, totally. And then public recreation spaces, so that was summarizing parks, dog parks, restaurants with outdoor seating, and coffee spots.
This is my sweet spot. I'm a commercial broker and also general contractor. I work with developers, work with people, investors that are trying to look for things, opportunities. So this is my sweet spot. All you guys have great ideas. Trust me, we're thinking the same thing. But to what Janet said, density, I think is very important. Change the density. Grocer, thinking maybe a Trader Joe.
Maybe a Whole Foods,
Whole Foods, Trader Joe, something
I'll take
different.
anything.
Right.
I'll take anything.
All of them.
And also walkable streetscape. I think that's important. Maybe a doggy park. You got to be pet friendly. It's a lot of great ideas, but there's a lot of change going to be happening.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I've got for you. Thanks for watching. Make sure to hit the subscribe button to get future video updates from me. Also, make sure to check out my podcast, which you can listen to here on this YouTube channel or on your favorite podcast player platform like Spotify, Apple Music, etc. Talk to you later.